My name is Alciro Deacon. I'm a Republican candidate running for State Senate District 6. For the last 10 years, I've been going to jails, I've been teaching fatherhood classes, employment classes, anger management classes. You can see from my t-shirt here, I've been a volunteer, so this is what I've been doing for a long time. Currently, I work for the state of Wisconsin for the Department of Corrections as a program and policy analyst at Vance. So that's where we try to make programs, make sure it's relevant to help fellas that's coming out as incarcerated to be able to reintegrate into the community and to curb recidivism. There's a lot of things that I want to do, and I've noticed that we're in a time that there's more division than ever, and I want to bridge that divide. I want to bridge the divide. That's the slogan of my campaign. Right now, we're at a time where everyone is trying to walk forward with looking backwards. And if we're walking forward looking backwards, we can't see where we're going. We're going to bump into all kinds of things. But I want to try to take everyone's attention and face it forward and focus on things that we agree on to move Milwaukee forward. We need to move forward. It's okay to take a peek back, but when we just stay looking back there, we ain't going to go nowhere. We're not going to go nowhere. So I'm going to start with a little bit of what I want to do. For Bridge the Divide, it's an acronym. I have here, it's time to be bold. We need to bring a family and consumer sciences 2.0 initiative to Milwaukee Public Schools. In other words, that's a new generation home economics. During my time of serving the community, I've seen that there's just a lot of basic skills that a lot of people don't know for a lot of different reasons. And if we could get them to learn these skills, that will bridge a lot of gaps and help people to be able to get jobs, help families to stay together. I also want to reform the police department. When I say reform the police department, I want to add a social work branch to the police department. Whereas they are able to be proactive and go out into the community, impoverished communities, high crime communities, knock on doors and do wellness checks. And these wellness checks will see if they need any kind of services, any kind of assistance, any kind of resources to help to stop things from getting out of control. I also want it so that we make it so that if officers would like to serve the community, they need to live in the community. So I would like to give a proximity bonus to officers that choose to live in the community that they patrol. That way we have real community policing. We'll have people that's in the community that have stake in the community. All right? I also want to do, I want to integrate chaplains into Milwaukee Public Schools. For a brief period, I worked in Milwaukee Public Schools as a regional attendance liaison. I worked with principals, I worked with social workers, worked with teachers, worked with parents, and I saw a lot of the gaps. And I figured, why not put something extra to help with the counselors and the social workers to give kids a choice. A lot of kids out there, they have a lot of hard situations, and why not give them a choice and something else to be able to choose to help to get them to focus and to stay tuned in school. D, I want to create a disadvantaged worker tax credit and subsidy program. This would encourage businesses to move to Milwaukee and open up shop in Milwaukee. This would make people hire people that people usually would not hire. There's a lot of individuals that's 25 years and older that have spotty job history. But if we are able to give them, the employer, a tax credit to encourage them to hire the individuals that are ex-offenders, it'll make it a lot easier to do the job search. I'm talking from experience because I've worked as a workforce specialist and a reentry coordinator for the Milwaukee Area Workforce Investment Board. G, I'd like to generate a program similar to the Joseph Project in order to have a pipeline of blue-collar workers available to bolster the city's efforts of bringing premier blue-collar businesses to Milwaukee. Those of you that know the Joseph Project program, it's a great program. There's a candidate that runs it, Orlando Owens. He's done a great job. But I want to add another addition to that, but twist it so that employers have to make a choice to come to Milwaukee. So it's giving them a taste of Milwaukee. It's having them to buy in to the workforce here and encouraging them to move so that we can have more jobs for those that are, for all of us. Priority will be given to those that are ex-offenders. I would like it to be 50% ex-offenders or those that are incarcerated, and then the rest of the community can fill those slots. And E, anybody that have child support, you know, I've been helping people with child support for years. Spread the word. I'm trying to have it so that we can erase the current child support interest, not the child support, but the interest from the arrears, and put a cap on the amount that they may sue thereafter. So those of you that may not know, with child support, it's fair. You make a child, you should have to pay child support. Well, what happens is there's a lot of people that make minimum wage and they owe thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. And that's because the interest goes up 0.5% each month in Wisconsin. So the debt becomes astronomical. I've seen people with minimum wage that owe like $300,000 in child support. And then when they're making the payment is going to the arrears interest that's owed to the state and just a little bit to the mother. So it's really not doing any good for the child. So if you get them my Facebook page and our website, or all my materials that I have here, I have more information of policy and researchers that when they're talking about that. A couple more things. I know y'all trying to go, so I'll just do a couple more things. Criminal justice reform. I want to mandate that all incarcerated individuals be eligible for human work release. Wisconsin State Statute 302-335 2J only allows eligibility if that person was placed on probation for a misdemeanor and if the probation violation for which he or she is confined is not a crime. People that are incarcerated are coming back to the community, as all of you know. One of the most important things about coming back to the community is having employment. Why not be able to get started on your employment while you're incarcerated? But when you come out, you have to hit the ground running. And that makes it harder, that makes it easier to reciprocate. So I want to change that. And the last thing I want to address, I'm going over time. One last thing I want to address is I want to do fair housing. I'm going to advocate for the creation of a housing fidelity bond program where ex-offenders and many others who are often discriminated against, they're in search for their housing. I currently serve on the community reentry housing task force with community advocates. And there they took up the idea of having a fidelity bonding program for housing. Are you familiar with fidelity bonding? Anybody? For those of you that are familiar, you'll know that there's a program called fidelity bonding for workforce. So if someone wants to get a job, they can get bonded. And that bond will tell the employer, look, I know for some reason, because of stereotypes, you're scared of me, and you think I'm going to do some inappropriate things on the job. So I am bonded up to a certain amount of dollars. I believe, my brother, I hear you, do you know that, I believe it's like $20,000? Yeah, they're bonded up to $20,000 to cover theft or anything that they think will happen. But what they find is, the research is saying that they never have to really use the bond. They use it only 1% of the time. So I want to do the same thing for housing, because a lot of landlords like to discriminate against ex-offenders. And so if we have a bonding program that fellas can sign up for and get a certificate, then they can't be discriminated against for housing, and there's more incentives for those landlords to rent to those individuals. There's a lot more that I'd like to do. I have some of my literature here. We're still getting some things together. But it's deaconforsenate.com. My Facebook is Alciro Deacon at Facebook. I'm going to try to hand these out to you, and I know we got to get out of here. So I thank y'all for your time. God bless y'all.